now. Hey y'all. Like I'm literally mocking some other YouTubers and I don't know why. I don't know why I am, but like they all have this very specific way that they introduce their channels and I guess just branding, just maybe jealousy on my part. But I don't need to be jealous, right? Because I'm here with you guys today and we're getting to talk about mythology, which is always a fun thing for all of us here to do. Like we all enjoy talking about mythology, and in a lot of ways, I think that's enough. So usually this time of day, I kind of just like to kind of chill out a little bit and get into just more of like a casual mythology talk. Earlier today, I did a pretty in depth myth lab. That's where I really get into like some deep mythology. I thought I did a good one today. I talked about Chthulhu. I talked about as Thor. I talked about another, like basically three deities from that Lovecraftian mythology. So I felt like that was a good one. It's up now. Obviously, you can go and check that out if you have an interest in checking it out. But this time of day, obviously end of the day, I just kind of want to chill out. I want to talk about mythology, but this segment is more dedicated to like modern mythology, like what's really going on right now, and look at some of the things that are driving myths right now, like what's going on. Right, this is just kind of a dig in, and a lot of it is like video games and movies and stuff like that. Those are the primary drivers of myth, and it stays pretty much true, right? This is it right here, and this is the new one I want to get into is, obviously they got a new God of War show that's going to be coming out. So God of War is going to cross from just being a video game, and I think I want to say there's been like some animated segments of it. I think so. I don't know. You guys can correct me on that, but God of War is going to cross over into live action. And God of War, as it exists itself, does deserve to be studied, right? It's one of the most successful video game franchises ever. I mean, I know we say it about a lot of games, and I guess they all are because everything's always getting fast. So it's such a fast pace. But I believe they're still, at least in terms of myth, they're one of the highest ranking in terms of like mythology franchises for video games all time. And like, I just want to give a little bit a backdrop on like how it comes out, like the franchise and how they tie into mythology, because it's very very interesting. Like this is a franchise that came out in 2005 out of Santa Monica Studio, and this is a Sony tie-in, right? So this was originally on the PlayStation 2, so it was a PlayStation thing, right? The Sony thing, and I think it's available on all the platforms now. I'm not 100%. I use Steam, and I know you can get it on Steam. So I always felt like, okay, if it's on Steam, anybody can get it. And this was it right here. Like this was like the reinfusion of Greek mythology when it came out, at least in a modern sense, right? This was a lot of it, like, but through rage, because we have been doing like, we've been doing like Clash of the Titans for a little bit at this time, and like Clash of the Titans was all right, except now both of them seem actually like they're not any good. Like I remember watching the first one with Harry Hamlin as a kid, and literally like jaw dropping for me. Right, I'm not even gonna front, jaw dropping. Like that was like it was so jaw dropping for me that I immediately went out and did a diorama. Right, I know one of you guys just called me a nerd, but that's all right. Like I went home because this is back in the day. We were still doing I don't know if it was show and tell. I don't know if I would call it like purely a show and tell, but it was definitely like a bring something to school. I don't know what it was called, but it was bring something to school day and talk about it. And I took this opportunity immediately, without any hesitation. I said I'm going to build this diorama of the Stygian witches. And at this point, right, like this isn't. I don't have this on videotape, right? I saw this in the movie theater. And we don't have an internet at this time. And I recreated the scene with the Stygian witches and Perseus. I don't know how. Like at 7 or 8 years old, man, how old was I, man? I want to say was I in fifth grade by this time? I think I had to have been in the fifth grade by this time. I think, man. Feels like I'm younger though. Like I remember working on it at my grandpa's house, but whatever. This is like Greek mythology is has really evolved from that early, rendition, that was a dominant. Even though we see Greek myth in a lot of forms, that was dominant for me. And you know, God of War is singularly changed a lot of aspects. Like Kratos, this main protagonist in the story is not a hero. He's really a weapon. Like in the early part of it, like was very playable. Like he fights everybody in the Greek pantheon. That's worth fighting. So in a mythology story format, it's pretty awesome, right? You get to fight against Ares, you fight against Athena, you fight against Poseidon, Hades, Helios, and then of course, bum bum bum, you fight against Zeus. So the game itself isn't a myth retelling. Like it's kind of more of a deconstruction of myth. They insert myth into a video game format, and of course it makes Zeus the big boss, right? So we get that. And then Kratos himself, like he's forging a very different mythology. Like Kratos is a name I think may last for a long time now. Like they're kind of embedding Kratos. And so I think we may see other archetypes of Kratos or Kratos, who was like a minor Greek, like divine personification of strength. And this game like really elevated him a lot more. Like Kratos came up in the whole like thing. I don't know if they even show a picture of Kratos here, but you like there he is. You know Kratos, right? And he really came up in this like telling. Like now he is almost just like reverse Hercules in a lot of ways. He's the son who kills the father. That like, this is how you win the game. He's the mortal who defies Olympus, and he is the embodiment of wrath. So this telling, like, man, I mean, it's a great pickup. It's a great convert, I'm sure. If Kratos signed a good contract, he's doing very well. He's feeling good about this. But the telling kind of makes him kind of a reverse of Hercules. And like I said, even as I'm saying, telling what he does, like the mortal who defines Olympus sounds just like Perseus, right? But kind of in reverse. So he's like the evil, he's a wrathful, mad version of all of them. Like he's kind of Olympus's apocalypse is what he becomes. So this is kind of a developing character, and it's an interesting a way to see how mythology still like carries forward. This is when I say mythology is living, I mean this is it right here, man. It changes. It's again a different culture, a different age, different social structures. How do we define those same stories, right? That's like the real bread and butter right there, right? So we get it. So Inception in 2005, then 2018 it gets a reboot. It slices in Norse mythology at this point, like they shifted. It's a slower pace. This is a more emotional game. They change the creative director, right? And the franchise becomes like a whole different type of mythology because now Kratos has a son, and the son is revealed to be he's Atreus in the myth, right? Which is mad cool, right? Like I feel like this is a mad cool analogous story. I don't know why, because it's so misaligned with what Norse myth says, but I think it's okay. They're sticking to the rules in their universe. That's all I require. But his son is revealed to be Loki, right? So you're seeing like this Greek mythology, and all of a sudden he's in this Norse cosmological system, and Loki is his son. Remember what Loki does. So this is a really really significant like crossover of mythology, right? And this isn't the only part of it, right? So you're what you're taking is like some elements of Greek myth. I think it's a lot of like he's rage, right? He is rage himself. So you're taking like Greek rage mythology and you're putting it in like Norse fate, two very successful mythologies, kind of like morph together, like in an excellent way. You kind of have to either really understand the mythologies or don't read it at all to make it fit like the kind of where it slots in there, and it definitely does. And you have like this chaos father and this boy destined to be a trickster god. So the mythologies kind of don't separate from the story, so it gets a little bit of depth, right? Now there's all this layering of mythology in this, right? And keep in mind, I'm not gonna play this game. I'm not taking on any more games. Like I never even finished the games I have, right? This is truthful, right? So this is all Greek era, Greek setting layering, right? So you get Ares, the war god. You get Zeus. You get Pandora. You get the Fates. You get the Titans and the Olympians. So all that back structure, and then the Norse era, they introduce Odin, Thor, Freya, Balder, and Ragnarok. So I mean, they're layering mythology on top of mythology in a ridiculous way. So it kind of reinterprets even like how the gods are. Like Odin isn't just this war god anymore. He's just like he's kind of crazy, right? Like really, actually, Odin's kind of crazy in this telling, right? He's obsessed with knowledge in a way. I think like if you read the Norse mythology about Odin, yeah, he's a little crazy, man. He does some crazy stuff for knowledge, but I think this really takes him to a whole nother level. So he's more and he's more paranoid, like and it's not a crazy interpretation of Odin. The more I think about it, like that they portray him as very paranoid. Like, yeah, he is. He knows Ragnarok's going to happen, and because we know that he knows Ragnarok's going to happen, we justify his behavior. But it is paranoid behavior, right? Like he is building up to the end days. It's justified. You're right, but he does behave like that. I guess it's not paranoia. I guess it's not paranoia, right? And then Freya's character is a little bit different, but like you feel an expansion in the mythology. So it really treats the gods like these flawed parents. So this is what it is. So it's a big show. It's looking really really good. Like because of where it's coming from, I think it's going to be worthwhile. I think it's going to be great. Like these are the same team. This is coming from Amazon Prime. So I already feel good about it, right? Like I actually already feel good about it. It's the same people behind the Wheel of Time. So if you give me Wheel of Time level, like budget, the understanding of storytelling, the heavy lore emphasis, if you give me all that stuff and you're saying I get Greek chaos and I get some North story structure, I'll say that's definitely a series I would watch. And it's great again because we're seeing like modern reinterpretations of like really, really old ancient myths. And this is how stories and characters stay relevant and even get redefined. So, I would say with Kratos, we're seeing a redefining of them. And then you got to think like there's a lot of people out there who will play the games. This will be their maximum exposure to the mythologies, right? This is the unfortunate part. Some of them, this will be their. So when you start mixing elements from Greek mythology and you start mixing elements from Norse mythology and you start mixing that, maybe I'm dumb and I don't know what's going on anyway, I start to subconsciously put those concepts together, right? So it just convolutes again what the real mythology is, which is why you got to have channels like this. We can sit and get it straight. But overall, like I said, I feel good about this. It's a good story. Just Kratos' evolution to me has been worth talking about. So this is kind of what's going on. This is some living myths that I keep and again, no matter what, like no matter how they interpret it, I think the important part is you still keep saying Zeus, Thor, Freya, right? You still keep talking about Odin, you keep talking about Balder. Like that's the real benefit. It's hopefully that, through that conversation, we have, more conversations about the actual myth or accept the new stuff as part of this myth. It is the evolving form of this mythology. So it does remain as significant, right? Each telling of it is as significant as what the ancient did, right? Well, I mean, it's different because obviously it's not from the same source, but we understand it is interpretation, and the cultural part of it actually matters too. So that's kind of where we're coming up. So I was kind of excited to see that, and then I see this, man. This also was like right here with it, and like I was just talking about Chthulhu, right? You ever be like talking about somebody and then they show up or they call you and like, what? This is what I was feeling with Chthulhu, right? I just like broken down. In fact, it was in my earlier stream today, in the Myth Lab today. I broke out like his triad, like his the three other arms within. What is this? Man, not Brand Davidian. Lovecraftian mythology, right? So I was just breaking them down, and then I'm just kind of like blah. I'm a gamer, and I love sci-fi and fantasy, so I always kind of check and see what's coming out. And I saw this game's coming out, Cthulhu, the Cosmic Abyss, right? And this is legit right here. This is from Big Bad Wolf is the developer on this. This game is going to hit the streets. This is April 16th of this year, right? So coming up pretty soon. It's already developed for PC, it's for Xbox, and it's for PS5, right? So it's available out there. Like I ran over to Steam just to kind of check it out, and yeah, it's already up there, like, or at least like a version of it, right? But the real thing about it is, like, this is Chthulhu on the scene again. Like, he's back in another major release, and like, Chthulhu. I mean, come on, like, look at the depth of this. Like, this is a good game. Like, let's take a look at it here. Graphics are great. This is what it's called, the Cosmic Abyss. If you can see that, this is right on Steam, and this is a 2053. The occult threat grows more blatant, strange, incomprehensible events multiply as the Earth's surface resources dwindle. Powerful corporations turn to uncharted depths of the ocean, unaware of the ancient horror they are about to release. Right? It's already chilling right now, right? And I'm telling you, we're living in the day and age of Lovecraftian mythology. You guys better learn this stuff, because I'm telling you, one of you guys is a lot more likely to unlock something than me. Okay, I'm just saying, if I was Cthulhu and I could, bend reality, I'd make it so I could appear in the game too. That's just what I would do with my powers. But again, I don't have said powers. But to check it out, like, this is a tense Lovecraftian thriller, right? Which already, like, I love every single part of it, because Lovecraftian mythology, like, it's the new kid on the block, right? Like, in real terms, we're talking there 1921, 1919 is when this Lovecraftian mythology comes out, and it's still trying. It's getting stronger, stronger, stronger. Lovecraftian roots go deep, man, and we're seeing more of it and more of it develop. So you play as this investigator who's investigating some miners out in the ocean, right? And with your help, they explore this labyrinth prison of Rael. This is the sunken city. This is actually pretty good. Like, this is the sunken city, so like, they're hardcore layering some good mythology in this bad boy, man. I am not joking at all. They're putting forth, like, come forth, right? Sally forth, as it were, right? They're putting some real deep mythology in there. So this is like, you have to literally get into it. You go to the sunken city and resist the creeping madness caused by Cthulhu's influence. This is a core part of Cthulhu's mythology, is that being near him, being in proximity to him, drives you crazy, because he is such a vast cosmic being that your tiny human brain, your tiny mortal human brain can't even fully grasp what it is. It shatters your understanding of reality. So just by seeing Cthulhu, you shatter reality, and you know what? You're not good for anything. You're not going to be good for anything after that. After you see it, so observe at your own risk, right? But it looks like a great game. Yeah, there's a demo available, but the release date is 2016, right before 420. And the reason that he does so well in games, and this is what's significant about, you know, video games are massively built on interaction, and Cthulhu myth is all about, like, helplessness, insanity. It's like forbidden knowledge, right? So this is kind of the challenge. Like, it inspires a lot of stuff, man. You're dealing with, like, for games, visually, you're seeing reality distortion. Like, you have investigative mechanics, because that's how he's been developed. You have this kind of environment storytelling as well. So it's baked into the cake. Like, he's big scale. Chulu is large scale, cosmic, that a lot of other belief systems can't or don't really match. Like, that as a singular being, he is that. So we get a lot of mythology. You get this amazing sunken city, which they say sits on the bottom of, like, reality itself. For some reason, it's stuff like this. It's kind of like a psycho thriller, like, so you get, like, the ocean dread aspect of it, but this is like a psycho thriller because of, like, how the story behind it actually is. And then this is huge. Like, this is huge mythology. You get to experience some of the other beings, like Asaroth and, like, Naryal Thotep, like the crawling chaos. like some deep mythology in there, and definitely like that Lovecraftian part. Man, I dig it, man. I really dig it. And that's kind of a good look. Like it's kind of a good look to see how healthy and thriving mythology is in its partnership with gaming. Like live and direct, mythology is really benefiting in a lot of ways. Like I think there's a lot of misdirect. Like it's easy to get like crazy stories in gaming, but I'm willing to accept it all because hey, look, you're keeping the names out there. Maybe it's a form of evolution, but looking at the two, like Chthulhu versus kind of the traditional god, like Kratos, right? God of War is about killing the gods. Literally, that's what Kratos is all about. Whereas Cthulhu mythos is like you cannot kill the cosmos, like you're powerless. So they're different kind of mindsets. Like I personally I think that God of War is kind of like a power fantasy you're having yourself, right? That's really what it is. You take on this form mentally, psychologically, you're killing the gods. You're killing like the largest mythos of all time, right? That's what you're doing in the game. So I'm assuming the reward system is, I'm killing the gods, right? That has to be what the reward system is. But in this format, when you're playing with Chthulhu, like you're understanding that you are not even the top being. Like it's a cosmic perspective look in this game, right? That it's different. It's a different mythology, and it moves you outside of the center. That's what this Lovecraftian mythology really. Lovecraftian mythology is about. You're not anything great. That's what it was saying to us. There's some great stuff out there, and it's not you. So you're not the center of this. You don't really matter. In fact, move. So from a psychological angle, we're seeing two different myth types thriving, and I'm gonna bet on like what the user experience is just in that. Like I don't see a lot of overlap. I don't think it's like the same person that plays these games. I don't think it's the same psychological profile for the new Cthulhu game as what you're gonna see with the God of War. And clearly like they're structured differently. The mythologies are structurally different. What they're impressing, like how they developed, again, a much newer mythology coming from the 1920s. And I think this guy was like around Maine. So this would have been like 1919, start to really work on this stuff. Maine, North America, right? This is his area. I think it was Maine or Rhode Island. I think it was Rhode Island. So, man, like a really deep mythology, and it's hung on, and now we're seeing it again on display. So, I just want to take a little time, just kind of do the myth talk for the live component or the living component of mythology, and that's what we see here. So, I'll be back, tomorrow in the AM. Do another myth lab. I still don't know what that is yet, but I've got like 4 things kind of percolating. I've kind of been working on this a little bit and kind of working on that a little bit. So after this, I'm going to work on this teriyaki bowl that I got sitting in the kitchen right now waiting for me. But as always, man, drop into the comments. Tell me what it is you guys are interested in talking about, hearing about, breaking down, analyzing. Because like I always say, I'm here for your mythological queries. I'm here to answer your mythological queries or at least examine them right together. So at any rate, thanks you for stopping in. Always appreciate the support. I'll be back on tomorrow, and I will have a myth stream. So I do have, if you listen to the nighttime myth stream, I do have a new one today. I think it's an excellent story, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna give it away, but it's the denial of Ragnarok. If that gives you like any type of thoughts on it, it's got some great like imagery in it, and I think the timing. So that's the new one that'll be featured tonight. If you guys want to check that out, but otherwise.